Captain's Log, 4th Reckoning, Chronicle 54. The Rescava is currently orbiting planet Draconis 3 as part of a joint research program with the Alliance. Our purpose? Restoration of the planet's biosphere after it was scourged of all life by the Zenkethi. With considerable effort, we have been able to establish a simulation of the draconian ecosphere prior to devastation. Scans of the planet from Station K-13 were very helpful, despite being several centuries old. Once the simulation has been fully tested, we will initiate the restoration process. Life will return to Draconis 3. I'm glad that protomatter will play a part in healing the grievous wound inflicted upon the planet by the Zenkethi. They have much to answer for. Captain's Log, 4th Reckoning, Chronicle 62. We have arrived at the Mivik system with a delegation from planet Povan. Our orders are to restore the biosphere of Povan, and we're eager to begin, but there are some obstacles to deal with. The Povini Council is unable to reach a decision on the restoration of their homeworld. Some wish to establish the world as it was in their golden age, while others wish to restore Povan to the state it was in before the Zenkethi attack. Flaws and all. Debates on the matter have often become heated. I've had to break up 2 duels between Povini Council members thus far. I don't recommend the experience. A diplomatic envoy from Beta Z shall arrive soon to assist us. She has considerable skill in such matters and was eager to make the journey despite her advanced age. Captain's Log, 4th Reckoning, Chronicle 77. The Rescava has arrived in the Jodkor system a few hours ahead of schedule. While we wait for the rest of the Alliance research team, we shall begin preliminary scans and studies of the moon we're here to restore. Our data suggests that the moon was the same class as Clufano, the planet it orbits, Class M. While it's not unheard of, it certainly is rare in our experience. We shall endeavor to restore the moon to its former state, and make it a place worth discovering when the people of Clufano take their first steps towards the stars. When they do, I hope the Lukari and the Alliance are waiting to greet them warmly. Captain's Log, 4th Reckoning, Chronicle 88. We are currently in orbit over the planet Kantar. I'm trying to determine how I shall inform my crew that we will not be restoring the ecosphere of the planet our people once called home. The decision arrived earlier in a secure transmission. Very formal. After considerable debate, it was placed to a planet-wide vote. The final results were 73% against and 27% in favor. The motion to restore Kantar's ecosystem has failed. Some wounds, as the humans say, never heal. Too many Lukari do not consider Kantar to be their home. They see it as a reminder of a time we lost our way as a people. A time they never wish to see again. Kantar is a cautionary tale. Many in the crew will be disappointed, myself among them. Perhaps someday we will have the chance to undo the damage here. But not this day. Captain's Log, 4th Reckoning, Chronicle 93. We have returned to the Haranzi system. A new initiative, one to restore life to the scourged Kantari moons, has passed. We are here to carry out the will of the Lukari people. I am particularly pleased to restore the moon of Karlat. History tells us that it was once a place of beauty, with oceans and beaches to rival those on Ryza. A natural paradise, unmarred by technology or war. From what we can tell, the Kantari attempted to terraform the moon, with disastrous results. They turned it into a Class Y wasteland and left it to rot. It will be an honor to undo the damage to Karlat. I hope to have the chance to do the same to Kantar itself someday.
After Action Report, November 28th, 2154. Commander Narrator reporting. Today is a Terran holiday called Thanksgiving, and after today's events, I'm inclined to start celebrating it. Large flightless bird and all. It started when the Nakul extracted Dr. Eric Sung from prison. It seems they wanted him to devise augmentations for them. One of our agents tried to recover Sung, but wound up getting captured. I led a strike team to a compound where the Nakul were holding Sung and our agent. One of them tried to shoot Sung during the engagement. I took the hit for him. Thankfully, my shield was up to the challenge. Ending the Sung line would have been disastrous. Starfleet would have lost its first android officer. I believe stopping that is something to be thankful for. After action report, stardate 9528.1, Commander Narrator reporting. There are days where the duties of my chosen profession are almost too much to bear. My assignment took me to the 23rd century and my homeworld, Cardassia Prime. Posing as an agent of the Obsidian Order was repugnant, but it provided access to the resources I needed to succeed. A group of Nakul, working with local revolutionaries, was planning to detonate a photon bomb in a marketplace. I exposed their operation to the Order. Their response was predictably swift and final. Had the Nakul succeeded, they would have started a chain of events leading to the founding of a Cardassian democracy in 2313. They would have also claimed the life of a 5-year-old boy named Prokal Dukat. I have ensured the birth of Prokal's infamous son and preserved the timeline. I have done my duty, but take no pride in doing so. After action report, stardate 55781.09, Commander Narrator reporting. If I never see Polaris 3 again, I shall die a happy woman. Duty took me to that miserable sandpit today. Nakul, posing as Remans, had come to recover the buried pieces of a Sung-type android, designation B4. We intercepted the Nakul and secured all of the android's components. They planned on programming B4 to cause a warp core breach on the Enterprise while it orbited Romulus. Thankfully, we stopped them. Unfortunately, we didn't stop them before they dug up the android components. As a result, my team and I had to bury them again so Picard and his people could find them. I may never get all this sand out of my combat armor. After action report, stardate 46853.5, Commander Narrator reporting. I've just enjoyed an interesting visit to Terok Nor, or rather, Deep Space Nine. Our intel suggested that the Nakul were going to assassinate Sisko, and in a most unusual fashion, death by holosuite. I managed to gain access to the station's holosuite network, but I saw no signs of tampering or any scheduled appointments for Benjamin Sisko. Jake Sisko, on the other hand, was in a session. I hacked the suite and stopped a holographic baseball pitcher from throwing a 300-mile-an-hour fastball into Sisko the Younger's skull. I then tracked the assassin to a storage area. As I prepared to enter, the door opened, and the Tailor Garrick walked out. He tapped his nose and smiled as he passed. Inside, I found the corpse of the lone Nakul agent. As I said, an interesting visit. After action report, stardate 49427, Commander Narrator reporting. Death has tried to claim me in many ways. Today's attempt was particularly novel. Command sent me to deal with a plot to destroy the USS Voyager. The Nakul intended to program an automated Cardassian warship to attack Voyager once it came into range. They didn't plan on it considering them enemies, however. It killed the Nakul, and when I arrived, it tried to kill me too. It seems that this dreadnought had been reprogrammed with a vigorous dislike of Cardassians. I managed to escape, although leaving it there for Voyager to deal with was difficult. I greatly dislike being shot at, especially by an idiotic robot starship.
Personal log, Admiral Lita. So little time.
When I was merely a captain serving on occupied Bajor, I had no choice but to rely on seduction and misdirection. All my years working for the Terran Rebellion, and my Bajoran roots were still thrown in my face. Captain Lita, nothing more than a figurehead to placate the Bajorans. Resented by my crew and dismissed by the Admiralty. Then, the Orb of Possibilities was returned, and it showed me the way. Now, all possibilities are ahead of me. The orb showed me the Coast-Emojin. Maybe the prophets were trying to warn me. The Coast-Emojin showed me a hint of power. The Pa-Wraiths burned away weakness, burned away age, burned away mortality. The future would be mine if I could just grasp it. Admiral, Fleet Admiral, perhaps more. Now, travelers have come from the future. Back in time to give us weapons to destroy the Iconians. Travelers who already know my plans and my fate. I don't trust them. But can I use them? Personal log, Admiral Lita. Our temporal visitors have given us quite a few gifts. At first, my engineers were pessimistic about understanding future technology. A few trips to the Agony booth have cured them of their misgivings. Our benefactors have come from our far future to ensure that their world comes to pass. For that to happen, we must defeat the Iconians, and our descendants have given us the weapons to do so. Of course, as Admiral in command of the fleet's flagship, I must insist on the first set of upgrades. Once the Enterprise has the power to dominate the fleet, I can give new weapons to my subordinates, but only to those who prove their loyalty. Personal log, Admiral Lita. The infighting in the fleet has been fierce. Many captains are rushing to declare their allegiance to me, and just as many are standing firm in their professions of loyalty to the Emperor. Of course, the fools who fight against me don't have access to my futuristic weapons. It will only be a short time now before my command is cemented. After that, I will take this war to the Iconians and eliminate them. Once the Iconians are destroyed, I can turn my attention to other matters. After all, Empress Hoshi gained her station with technology from the future. Or perhaps I can carve out a new empire of my own. Personal log, Admiral Lita. I get the sense that our time-traveling visitors are not giving us the best of their technology. They won't give us weapons that are advanced enough to be a threat to them. I suppose it doesn't really matter. This technology is more than enough to guarantee that the fleet will remain under my control. We've finished installing temporal shielding. In addition to protecting us against a wider range of weapons, this will insulate us from changes in the timeline. When we go back to wipe out the Iconians, the shields will guarantee that we will remember everything after we return. Naturally, any captain I suspect of disloyalty is going to experience a slight variance in their shield harmonics. Wiped from the timeline. Oops! And nobody will ever remember their treachery. Personal log, Admiral Lita. We've crushed the Iconians, turned back the clock, and destroyed them 200,000 years in the past. Thanks to our temporal shielding, the fleet has remained immunized from changes, and we've been able to keep our timeline mostly intact. I've made a few small adjustments to suit my own tastes. Now it's my time again. The Pa-Wraiths have given me great power over fire. The visions of the Wraiths have shown me a universe in fire. A universe for me to conquer. Through the fires of the Badlands, with the technology of the future, I can open a door to another universe. And once I have a foothold in that realm, I will have a place beyond the reach of the Emperor, where I can plan for his destruction and my eternal reign. That sounded a bit megalomaniacal. Well, I suppose it's only megalomania if you're actually delusional.
Ah, come in. I have a special assignment that requires a delicate touch. A science ship on patrol in grid Beta 53-30 received an encrypted message from the Voth. This wasn't a message from a military ship or the Voth leadership. This was an encoded short-ranged burst from a Voth science outpost. I think we may have a friend in the enemy's ranks. It'd be best if any communication from our side didn't come from our leadership, for reasons you'll soon see. I want you to pursue a dialogue with this individual. See if we can turn them into an ally. That is all. I'm trying to contact any member of the mammalian occupying force who is willing to open negotiations. I am Nellen Exel of the Voth Circle of Archaeology, and I believe that we have common scientific goals that can only be achieved without the interference of our respective militaries. Working alongside the best minds of the Voth Circles of Science, I have been studying this celestial structure, its function and its original inhabitants. Our work has yielded some troubling information for those seeking to uphold the doctrine that we are the original intelligent species in the Delta Quadrant. The Voth Ministry of Elders maintains that science is only valid if it supports their own fictions of history. I've lost too many colleagues to this terrible government censorship. What I've been able to discover on my own and away from government interruptions is that this sphere was created by a race under direct control of a species called the Iconians. Even ignoring the huge cache of records we found here, the mere existence of this sphere proves that there are powerful entities my government refuses to acknowledge, perhaps to our ultimate doom. I will not be so naive. Left high and dry by my own people, I am left with few options. There must be a sympathetic ear out there that realizes we have entered the nest of an enemy that neither of us are prepared to face alone. I was pleased to receive your message, even if I have to keep this conversation a secret from everyone I know. There are many topics that have been deemed controversial and off-limits. Inquisitors examine our work on a regular basis, but questions need to be asked if we are to maintain any sort of scientific credibility. Have you ever wondered at the fact that both our people were able to enter this sphere from opposite ends? That we could move through halls, through rooms, through entire buildings without finding another living thing? Until we encountered one another. The Ministry of Elders would have me publish papers claiming that this sphere was created by our ancestors. But why would they abandon this place? Why would anyone abandon this place? As far as I can tell, this place was commissioned but not built by a race called the Iconians. A war forced them to abandon their home in favor of this more strategic location. Imagine how many fleets of warships could fit inside here, fed by food grown on thousands of hectares of carefully constructed surfaces, powered by the entire energy of a star, and all waiting to ambush from the dark space of the night sky. The Voth are not warmongers. We have taught doctrine to weaker species, but weapons are usually not required. When the Voth have encountered opposition, we have resisted attempts by others to add us to their own ranks. Fights between evenly matched adversaries tend to be futile. A sphere might convince some that the odds have shifted in our favor. Which brings us back to my first question. Why did the original inhabitants of the sphere leave? Did they feel safe and pick a fight against a superior enemy and lose? Or were they forced to leave by some internal flaw in their fortress? We may all be doomed to the fate of those who lived here before if we aren't careful.
End of file.
Hello. Thank you for continuing to remind me that there are other sane minds out there. My concerns about the dangers of the sphere's technology have fallen on deaf ears. In rebuttal, I'm fed propaganda about the sphere's Voth origins and how easy my job should be. But how easy can a job be if I'm constantly being interrupted by alarms and avoiding catastrophes? In my lab, the Ministry of Elders and their Inquisitor lackeys have installed accomplices who are willing to answer yes when I say no. Advancement is their only goal, not reason, not discovery, and certainly not safety. Unfortunately, they are rarely up to the tasks for which they volunteer. But the problems may be bigger than incompetent lab techs. No one here wants to hear that we may not be capable of using this technology, or that the cost of trying could be the destruction of this entire sector of space. The builders of this sphere aren't here to tell us the results of their experiments, but I'm convinced that something did go terribly wrong. There is evidence of a celestial trauma that has significantly reduced the energy output from this installation's central star. Add to that the fact that the spires have been optimized for a different spectral band than the one that this star produces, and we're left with strong evidence of a large-scale industrial accident. Such an accident would explain why this place was abandoned. I've conducted a detailed scan of one of the spires and found trace amounts of tetrion particles. Any industrial accident large enough to leave these trace tetrion particles thousands of years afterwards would have permeated all organic life caught in the blast with enough tetrionic energy to force any survivors to retreat to subspace. So, if the creators of this technology weren't savvy enough to prevent such a huge disaster, what chance do my people or yours have to do any better? I fear this technology. I fear it in not just the wrong hands, but in any hands. We need to work together to make sure no one tries to activate the sphere. Our lives may depend on it.
End of file.
I'm sorry for the delay in my response, but I needed to take extra precautions with my communications. After another round of disastrous tests in combining Voth and Sphere technologies, I was offered up as a scapegoat. I am no longer a member of the Voth Circle of Archaeology. But I've been doing this for so long, it's hard to stop keeping an eye on my former colleagues' experiments. Now my curiosity is tinged with a hint of fear. Their findings may be corrupted. When it was discovered that the Omega particles generated by the structure were sent to collection sites in the outer shell, the first thought was to blindly jumpstart this process, rather than to methodically determine its purpose. I'm afraid our leaders are so entranced by the perceived benefits of this advanced technology, they are willing to forego common-sense safety measures. Luckily, there are a few of us left who make safe and sane actions our primary objective. And luckier still, there are enough of your ships and soldiers causing problems inside our defensive lines that my actions are blamed on you. I'm not alone in this opinion. Our superiors are pushing hard to unlock this technology. There's a perceived lack of progress, and they are trying to make up for lost time. I'm sure you understand gravity as it applies to physics. But it also has a social component. When our leadership feels pressure, it is quickly felt by those below them. First by the military, then by the citizenry. The Voth have never taken kindly to dissenters. But there is no comparison between those who speak out against doctrine back home, and those who fight for basic scientific inquiry here and now. I fear I'll be discovered at any moment, but I fear even more that the work I'm doing won't continue on. Please stay safe.
End of file.
We've intercepted new Voth military communications. I think they've outed your contact.
One file received at 0530 hours today.
I'm sad at the thought that this may be my final transmission. I've enjoyed our talks together, but I came across something tonight that is too important to leave to chance. I was recently assigned to the Circle of Material Sciences. Apparently, my expertise in using isotopes to date archaeological finds means I'm an expert in chemistry, at least to a military personnel officer. One disadvantage of keeping disciplines separate based on expertise is a lack of shared knowledge, where my new colleagues added footnotes about inverted tetryon particles. I saw a connection to omega molecules, a connection of which they were unaware. On a small scale, my hypothesis yielded a small rift. Applied to the scale of this entire facility, this sphere was built to travel through subspace, across the galaxy. The Voth leadership was excited to learn of this discovery as well. Imagine an entire solar system full of ships hiding inside this sphere. Imagine teleporting them anywhere in the galaxy in an instant. I assure you there are Voth battle plans in the works right now using this strategy. My species is under attack near our home sector. The fighting has reached a stalemate, but there are still lives being lost on both sides. Every option is being examined to bring an end to the fighting, even the most extreme. I've seen reports on weaponizing omega molecules to destroy large swaths of subspace and lock our enemies into their own parts of space. I must put an end to my people's pursuit of such disastrous weaponry. I will not have a part in isolating the Voth race by making space unnavigable, even at the price of a continuing war. My work with the Voth is finished. Hopefully I will not follow suit.
End of file.
Go get him. Maybe you can find him before his people do.